Senate will come to order. Senators will be in their seats. Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Baumgartner. Billinger. Bowers. Clays. Corson. Dietrich. Dahl. Erickson. Fagg. Alscadeau. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hawk. Hildebrand. Holland. Holscher. Kirshen. Close. Longbine. Masterson. McGinn. Olson. O'Shea. Peck. Peterson. Petty. Pittman. Pyle. Reichman. Steffen. Straub. Sullentrop. Sykes. Thompson. Tyson. Ware. Warren. Wilborn.
Senators and their guests, please rise and give prayerful attention to our guest chaplain, Doug Hinkle.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, it's such a blessing to know you love us and care about every detail of our lives. You even know the number of hairs on our head. You care about each word spoken here, and you know the motivation behind each word. You care about the debate that will occur on the floor of this chamber today. I pray that you would cause a bond of common purpose to unite this body, and that your peace would be over the Kansas Senate. I ask that you give each senator wisdom, and I pray for friendly relations as passionately held positions are argued. Cause each member of this body to think before they speak, aware that their words will not be overlooked or easily erased. Keep them from quarrels and angry disputes. Rather, cause each senator to argue strongly held, differing positions in a diplomatic and honorable way to the best of their ability, striving for satisfactory resolution, blessing all Kansans. I lift up President Masterson, Vice President Wilborn, Majority Leader Alley, and Minority Leader Sykes to you today. Give them your divine insight and direction as they lead this chamber. Father, I pray that at the end of the day, the deliberations in the Kansas Senate would lead to sound decisions that would honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In honor of Kansas Day, this Saturday, please stand and join Senators Gossage and Senator Pittman in the singing of Home on the Range.
The president says singing, we expect everyone to be singing. And I don't know if this was a sound decision. Are you ready? All right, here we go.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. How often at night, when the heavens are bright, with the light from the glittering stars. Have I stood here amazed, and asked as I gazed, if their glory exceeds that of ours. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Woo, Kansas!
Please note references of bills on pages 1 and 2 of the calendar. At this time, I'm withdrawing SB 371 from the Committee on Transportation, referring to the Committee on Judiciary. Consideration of appointments. Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. In compliance with Senate Rule 55, the appointments on pages 2 and 3 of the calendar are ready for consideration. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I move the appointments be confirmed as recommended by the Committee on Confirmation Oversight.
We will hold for final action. We are now ready for final action. On this roll call, we will take the appointments on page 2 and 3, Height, Sprecher, Driscoll, Ewert, Perry, Newman, and Wilkerson. Clerk will read the names.
Member, State Banking Board, Taylor Height. Member, State Board of Tax Appeals, Devin Sprecher. Member, State Board of Indigence Defense Services, Laurel Michael Driscoll, Michael Ewert, Braden Perry. Member, University of Kansas Hospital Authority, Jack Newman, Debbie Wilkerson.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley, Baumgardner, Billinger, Bowers, Clays, Corson, Dietrich, Dahl, Erickson, Fagg, House-Godot, Francisco, Gossage, Haley, Hawk, Hildebrand, Holland, Holscher, Hershen, Cluse, Longbine, Masterson, McGinn, Olson, O'Shea, Peck, Peterson, Petty, Pittman, Kyle, Reichman, Steffen, Straub, Sullentrop, Sykes, Thompson, Tyson, Ware, Warren, Wilborn.
Has every senator had an opportunity to vote? Does any senator wish to explain their vote? Does any senator wish to change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. 39 having voted in favor and none against the appointments of Driscoll, Sprecher, Height, Ewert, Wilkerson, Perry, and Newman. These appointments, having received the required constitutional majority, are hereby declared confirmed. Chair recognizes Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into committee of a whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of general orders.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Chair appoints the Senator from Miami, Senator Baumgartner, to preside over the committee of the whole.
The Senate, having resolved itself into the committee of the whole, will now consider those items listed on the calendar under the heading of general orders. We'll now turn our attention to Senate Bill 347. The chair recognizes the senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, to explain the bill and to adopt the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were committee amendments, so I move we adopt the committee report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. SB 347, as amended, would enact the Attracting Powerful Economic Expansion Act, also known as APEX, aimed at attracting large manufacturing or corporate headquarter projects and promoting the growth of Kansas-based suppliers for those projects. The bill would define a qualified firm as a for-profit business establishment subject to state income, sales, or property tax that is engaged in one or more of 5 industries, that commits a capital investment of at least $1 billion to be made within 5 years. The identified industries are advanced manufacturing, aerospace, distribution, logistics and transportation, food and agriculture, or professional and technical services. A qualified supplier must meet an annual sales requirement of at least $10 million to the qualifying firm, be located in Kansas, a supplier of components, subassemblies, chemicals, or other process-related tangible goods, and does business primarily in Kansas. Qualified firms and suppliers would be eligible for incentives approved by the Secretary of Commerce, including investment tax credits up to 15% of capital investments made in a year, a property tax exemption up to 50%, up to 50% of eligible training and education costs, and a sales tax exemption for materials and services associated with construction. In addition, qualified firms would be eligible for reimbursement of up to 10% of total payroll expenses, and qualified suppliers would be eligible for up to 65% of Kansas payroll withholding taxes. Qualified firms and suppliers must meet eligibility requirements each year to retain eligibility for incentives, and must repay incentives if they fail to meet the requirements of this act. They must also enter into a binding written agreement with the Secretary of Commerce that includes the commitments required in this bill. Qualified firms and suppliers receiving benefits must also comply with reporting requirements, including annual reports to the Governor, Senate and House Commerce Committee, as well as quarterly reports to the chairpersons of the Commerce Committees in each chamber. If any benefits are granted to qualified firms or suppliers, the bill would require the Secretary of Revenue to reduce the corporate income tax rate for the next tax year by 0.5% for each mega project. This was an amendment added in committee. We very much felt like if we're going to have mega projects, that we try to create a level playing field for all businesses, and we use the proceeds of the mega projects to seed investment across the board to make Kansas competitive and reduce the burden on all corporations. With that, Madam Chair, I do have an amendment.
Have you turned it in?
Yes.
And what is the number?
It is number 2893.
We'll distribute it. Or would you like to have it read?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be happy to explain it. It is a very short amendment. We have heard concern that we need to have some guardrails and some oversight. So this amendment is simply a sunset to provide another level of review for this bill. And it's simply that the Secretary of Commerce shall not enter into any agreement with a qualified firm or qualified supplier pursuant in Section 2 and amendments thereto on or after March 31st of 2023. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Are there questions on the amendment? Yes. Senator Holland, or Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of the amendment.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If the carrier would stand for question.
She will.
Can you clarify with this sunset, if a business is in negotiations and that sunset happens, what happens to the business, or if they're in, if they've completed a contract, but maybe they're still not quite finished, would they still benefit from these economic development tools?
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As is written, they cannot make an agreement after that date.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
But they could have an agreement, but possibly not have broken ground.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
According to this, the Secretary cannot enter into an agreement with a firm or supplier after this date.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
But they could go into a contract and an agreement, but really not be open for business yet. Is that correct?
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the bill, there is a provision that any supplier or qualifying firm would have to enter into a written agreement with the Secretary of Commerce. They could not do that after this date.
Senator from Johnson, Senator Sykes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Are there any other questions on the amendment? Yes, Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate that. I stand against this particular amendment. I understand the need for sunsets in many of our legislative aspects. I do think once we get this program moving, that that it's going to take some time. We have runways in terms of the next mega project. We have one on the books that folks are looking at. We know that. But this program needs time to be developed. And I see no need to necessarily clip it in the first, right after the first year. If it were out 5 years and we were seeing how it developed, I think that would be more appropriate. We will be back in session next session, and if we find some egregious issues with this, we could always change the legislation at that time instead of just cutting the program as of that date automatically. So I do stand up against this particular sunset, and I hope you will too.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would respond that due to the nature and the level of commitment for these projects is something we have not seen as a state, and I think that sooner rather than later oversight is warranted. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. I do have a question if the senator would stand for it.
She will. Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess go ahead and ask the question. There we go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this talks about entering into any agreement. If the Secretary of Commerce had entered in an agreement and there was a tornado and there needed to be changes to that agreement, perhaps changes to the dates, changes to a timeline, would this prohibit that Secretary making any such changes that are additional agreements to the original agreement?
Now, Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As is in reading, yes, no agreement between the qualified firm or qualified supplier shall be entered into after this date.
Senator from Douglas, Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am hoping that it might be possible for our Department of Commerce to enter into an agreement this next year. I think if that's the case, I would want the ability to review that agreement if both parties feel that there's an important change to be made. I stand in opposition to this amendment.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, with the magnitude of this legislation, I do think sooner rather than later oversight is necessary for just making sure that we are vetting and making sure that the legislation is being enacted with the intent of the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any additional questions on the amendment? Seeing none, you may move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move my amendment.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. It appears that the amendment passes. Division has been asked. At this time, I'm not seeing hands for roll call. I'm still not seeing. We'll do division. So at this time, those that are in favor of the amendment, please stand. You may sit down. Those in opposition of the amendment, please stand. You may sit down. On a vote of 22 to 15, the amendment does pass. We are now back on the bill. Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have another amendment.
I assume you've turned that in. What is the number?
Yes, 2897.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, would you like to have your amendment read or would you like to explain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to explain.
You may proceed.
Thank you. This is what I would call a clarifying amendment. It makes sure that the supplier definition is broad enough that it includes all types of businesses. It adds language to make sure it is clear that the mega project and suppliers are not eligible for other incentives, such as star bonds. It adds language to ensure that we get local consent from the local government where the mega project would be located. And it also defines a federal trade zone, which is a definition from the federal government. With that, I will stand for questions.
Okay. Are there questions on this amendment? Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Would the carrier of the amendment stand for questions?
She will.
Thank you. I would ask the carrier, does this include any property tax incentive and all incentives, or is it just commerce programs that it would exclude them from?
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would exclude, can you refer to which specific part of the clarifying amendment?
Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would it include IRBs, local county incentives, community, municipalities incentives, or only state incentive programs?
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am interpreting that question as referring to the receiving permission from local municipalities, and I just want to make sure I'm following the Senator's line of questioning.
Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Yes, I'm asking, would this exclude locals from sweetening the deal?
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not believe so. I'm going to take a moment and confirm that to make sure we have accurate information. Okay.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the indulgence. There was a lot of talk in committee about each one of these, and I wanted to make sure that I was providing correct information. That is correct. Nothing would prohibit local government from offering any other additional incentives.
Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I appreciate the carrier of the amendment. I will be supporting it. However, I'd like to see it go a little bit further, since there is a 50% tax benefit on property taxes. It doesn't exclude that the locals could completely exempt the property tax or abate the property tax on this property for 10 years. So I will support the amendment. I wish it went a little further. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, did you have any follow-up comment to that?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Call on Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just rise in support of this amendment. I think it clarifies the bill and it makes it better. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any further questions on this amendment? Seeing none, you may move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move my amendment.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment passes. We are back on the base bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will stand for questions.
Are there any further questions on the bill? Seeing none, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill has brought a lot of discussion, a lot of disagreeing, what here in Kansas we may refer to as cussing and discussing. But I do think that there is one thing we all can agree on, and that is, as things stand, Kansas has not been competitive in attracting businesses, as is evidenced by the fact that there have been 11 opportunities in the past 5 years, and we have not competed for any of those. We must do something different. We also, Madam Chair, must level the playing field so that we can compete with neighboring states that have lower corporate income tax rates than we do and lower cost of business. This bill accomplishes both. So I hope that we can agree on that, because we absolutely all agree that we need to grow and make Kansas a thriving place for businesses and communities and our families. With that, Madam Chair, I move that when the committee rises and reports, it report SB 347. Oh. The question, Madam Chair?
No, you have not completed your motion yet, though.
Madam Chair, is she closing on the bill?
She is. I asked if there were any other questions on the bill. There was none. Seeing no further questions.
Actually, I'm waiting on an amendment, Madam Chair.
Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson, you had not completed your close. The chair leaves it to you if you are wanting to relinquish the floor to the senator from Lynn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And in agreement with the senator from Lynn, I will finish my close. Madam Chair, I move that when the committee rises and report, it report SB 347 favorably for passage, as amended.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those in opposition, no. The motion carries. The chair recognizes the majority leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move with the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Clerk will read the committee report.
On motion of Senator Alley, the Senate resolved itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of bills on the calendar under the heading of General Orders with Senator Baumgardner in the chair. Recommended, SB 347 be amended by the adoption of the committee report be further amended on motion of Senator Erickson, and the bill be passed as further amended.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Miami, Senator Baumgartner, to adopt the
Thank you
committee
very
report.
much, Mr. President. I move we adopt the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Report's adopted. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move an emergency be declared, the rules suspended, and the following bill be advanced to final action on roll call. Senate Bill 347.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We are now ready for final action. On this roll call, we will take the following. The bill on page 3, SB 347. Clerk will read the title.
SB 347, an act concerning economic development.
Clerk will call the roll.
Alley. Baumgartner. Billinger. Bowers. Clays. Corson. Dietrich. Dahl. Erickson. Bag. Faust-Godot. Francisco. Gossage. Haley. Hawk. Hildebrand. Holland. Holscher. Kirshen. Luce. Longbine. Masterson.
Aye.
McGinn. Olson. O'Shea. Heck. Peterson. Petty. Pittman. Pyle. Reichman. Steffen. Straub. Sullentrop. Sykes. Thompson. Tyson. Ware. Warren. Wilborn.
Has every senator had an opportunity to vote? Does any senator wish to explain their vote? Senator from Lynn, Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did have an amendment. The reviser had made a mistake on the amendment, so we were sending it down for an update. You know, this bill, it was an attempt to make it a little bit better, but I got a note from a businessman, a small business owner in the state of Kansas, and he said one of the amendments should be to retitle the bill, Crony Capitalism Kick Existing Kansas Businesses in the Face Bill. I think that would be accurate because this bill allows one person in the state of Kansas, the Secretary of Commerce, to decide $1 billion to $1.5 billion incentives, and there's no cap. So we can give it out to several companies. It doesn't restrict to Kansas residents only. We could get tax credits for H-1B visa workers coming in from international, overseas. There's no, again, it's disappointing that we would push this legislation through, and disappointing today that the state of Kansas will have to live with this legislation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Would you like your remarks spread on the journal? Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill brings up several competing factors to consider. On one hand, we welcome private sector investment to Kansas to increase the number of high-quality jobs, thus making our state a more attractive place to earn a living, and the potential of projects of such a large magnitude to grow the Kansas economy is certainly appealing. On the other hand, we need to be extremely judicious in the use of economic incentives that have the potential of undermining economic fairness and place the state government in the position of picking between winners and losers, when we should be moving towards policies that benefit all businesses in Kansas. SB 347, as amended, as currently constructed, mitigates those concerns in two ways. First, it uses proceeds to lower the corporate income tax that will help level the playing field for all businesses in Kansas. Second, it includes a sunset just on the horizon so the legislature can ensure the legislation is being enacted as intended. On balance, due to the potential to drive significant economic activity in Kansas, combined with the efforts to level the playing field and ensure proper oversight, I vote yes. Thank you.
Would you like your remarks spread on the journal?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you.
So ordered. Senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very, very brief. Obviously, with a bill of this size, there's all sorts of unintended consequences. I spoke with a business owner in my district today, and her concern was she's a small business, and then if a large entity like this comes in, they already are having a hard time finding employees, and that this large entity might draw employees away from them and exacerbate their problems. Just one of the unintended consequences of a bill this size, and for that reason I vote no, among others, and I will ask that it be spread across the journal. Thank you, Mr. President.
So ordered. Senator from Reno, Senator Stephan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Tyson referred to small business owners. I'm referring to large business owners. I've had the opportunity to speak to some of the largest manufacturing business owners in the state of Kansas who created international businesses. They do not support this sort of corporate welfare, nor do I. In short, this sort of activity is not part of our constitutional mandate and is not supported by the grassroots business owners and workers of Kansas. Thank you.
Would you like your remarks spread on the journal? So ordered. Senator from Johnson, Senator Gossage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With her permission, I would like to join the comments of the Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
So ordered. Senator from Barton, Senator Straub.
Thank you, Mr. President. With a background in county government, local government, I fully support economic development, but I've served on a number of different committees, boards, encouraging economic development in our small communities, dealing with CDBG grants and EDRLF funds. And those programs have stronger regulations and qualifying criteria than this bill that wants to give away hundreds of millions of dollars of hard-earned money from other Kansas taxpayers. So I vote against this bill. Even though I support economic development, I don't support making Kansas a tax shelter for multi-billionaires. Thank you.
Would you like your remarks spread on the journal? So ordered. Senator from Leavenworth, Senator Pittman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in support of this bill. I think it's innovative. This is targeted to a very specific type of company where they invest $1 billion or more in our Kansas economy. It's going to grow jobs for our working families. It's going to allow us to be competitive, drive our state forward in advanced manufacturing and other opportunities where we need to innovate to stay competitive not only in the United States, but on the global marketplace. This APEX program, so-called APEX program, is performance-based. They're investment tax credits, payroll refunds, and rebates only after the company has made the investments. I'd rather have a little bit of something than a little bit of nothing, Mr. President, and I support this bill. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to have my words spread across the journal.
So ordered. Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. President. With her permission, I'd like to join the remarks of the Senator from Johnson, Senator Warren.
So ordered. Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Kirshen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to state that I did vote in favor of this bill, but I've got to admit that in the last 4 days, I didn't like the way it was presented. I didn't like the secrecy. I know there's got to be confidentiality. I understand what business has to do, but the explanations were more reasons than not that I couldn't support it. And I kept thinking about it and trying to look for the pluses in it. I know there's some pluses in there, but in the end, I had to trust. Who do I trust? I do trust my colleagues who figured they would not give us a bill that would ruin the hope of the whole project on top of that. So I would trust them that they were looking out for us and they wouldn't give us a really bad bill. So I'm depending on you to do that.
Would you like your remarks spread on the journal? Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Faustido.
Thank you, Mr. President. I vote yes for Senate Bill 3 47. I believe that it's a way to keep our millennials here in the state of Kansas. We need to grow our economy. We need to do something different. We sometimes have a Mayberry mindset in a big city, and we need to do something different for our economy. Mr. President, and I would like to join the remarks of the senator from Leavenworth, Senator Jeff Pittman, if he would agree. Thank you.
So ordered. Further explanation. Senator from Douglas, Senator Holland.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this legislation, and the reason why I am, just a little bit of background. Many of you know that some years ago, back in 2017, we had Tyson Foods descend in the middle of the night and basically announce they were going to open a chicken processing plant in Tonganoxie. Wasn't a lot of transparency there. It caught most of the community members by surprise, including the local delegation, including myself. In the world of business, you'll have to sign NDAs. In the world of business, there are deadlines. And make no mistake, when it comes to pure, unadulterated, open government, sometimes there's some conflicts there. But given the amendment that Chairwoman Erickson put on at the beginning of this, once again, combined with the oversight elements of it, I believe the bill is written narrowly enough where while it is open, you know, obviously I think it is properly constructed. I think we have the controls in place. And at the end of the day, I think this project itself really could be a significant game changer. I believe this is more than just the initial group of entities coming in. I'm looking down the road long term and really seeing the possibilities of some real synergies here. You know, these opportunities don't come along often. So I think we've got the framework in place. I'm going to support this legislation. And, you know, we've done our job here. We've vetted this. This has been a much more public discussion and vetting of a prior one. And so I support this. And let's just be diligent and monitor the progress as we go forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Would you like your remarks read on the journal? A little reminder for those that do, I think it's 200 words. So, any further explanation? Any changes of vote? Any senator wish to change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. (32) having voted in favor and 7 against the passage of SB 347, this measure having received its constitutional majority is hereby declared passed. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 398 by Committee on Public Health and Welfare, an act concerning public health. Senate Bill 399 by Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning insurance. Senate Bill 400 by Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning trusts. Senate Bill 401 by Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning retirement and pensions. Senate Bill 402 by Committee on Financial Institutions and Insurance, an act concerning retirement and pensions. Senate Bill 403 by Committee on Assessment and Taxation, an act concerning sales and compensating use tax. Senate Bill 404 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning gaming. Senate Bill 405 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning disposition of certain state real property. Senate Bill 406 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning firearms. Senate Bill 407 by Committee on Ways and Means, an act concerning the State Children's Health Insurance Program. Senate Bill 408 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Senate Bill 409 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning freedom of worship. Senate Bill 410 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning the legislative branch. Senate Bill 411 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning commerce. Senate Bill 412 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Senate Bill 413 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Senate Bill 414 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Senate Bill 415 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning domestic violence. Senate Bill 416 by Committee on Judiciary, an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure. Senate Bill 417 by Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, an act concerning health and environment. Senate Bill 418 by Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning elections. Senate Concurrent Resolution 1618 by Committee on Judiciary, a proposition to amend Article 1 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas by adding a new section thereto concerning oversight by the legislature of certain executive branch actions.
This constitutes introduction of SB 398 through SB 418 and SCR 1618. Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Mr. President, the Committee on Transportation recommends SB 332 be amended and the bill be passed as amended. Senator Peterson, chairperson. Mr. President, the Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources recommends SB 358 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Senator Kirshen, chairperson.
Are there announcements? Senator from Sedgwick, Senator Fauske-Doe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, we have another birthday in the chamber today. If we could all, if you haven't already, please wish the gentlelady from Sedgwick, Senator Carolyn McGinn, happy birthday.
Carolyn, that's for you. Oh. Senator from Wyandotte, Senator Petty.
Thank you. You all have on your desk a flyer about the Early Learning Caucus. And as you can see, this is the first forum coming up for that caucus. I'm sure you're aware that we have, through DCF, been providing some funding for, along with a United Methodist Health Ministry Fund for the ABC Evidence-Based Home Visiting Program. This will be a 3-year update on that. If you don't know about that program, it's a very great intervention program with families to help create a more supportive families that can help keep children out of our foster system. And the other part of this forum will be Callie Hoffman, the Director of Kansas Parents as Teachers, and sharing information about universal home visiting. So I hope you'll join us. This is on February the 2nd and in room 118 North. The information's there. Hope you can take the time to join us for lunch.
Further announcements. Senator from Johnson, Senator Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I failed to mention this in Senate Utilities, but we'll be hearing budgets on the Kansas City or Kansas Corporation Commission and CURB on Monday. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further announcements. Senator from Johnson, Senator Holscher.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Johnson County delegation will be meeting Monday at noon. We have a great program lined up. You will want to be there, and lunch will be provided. We'll see you then.
Any further announcements? Seeing none, Chair recognizes the Majority Leader from Cali, Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn pro forma until 9 a.m. Friday, January 28th, 2022.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. The Senate is adjourned.